Hey guys, it's Lindsay with My Nerds Attack, and I'm here with the next episode of Dreadfully Yours for the episode Ebb Tide. And again, I'm sorry this is a little late. Things have been just really crazy. We're getting ready for San Diego Comic-Con next month, which I hope Penny Dreadful will be at. Hopefully they'll get renewed. We still haven't heard about that. Around this time last year is when we heard about the Season 3 renewal. So I'm still waiting to hear about the Season 4 renewal. I'm getting a little nervous. Their numbers are down from last year, but their numbers are still not that bad, and it's such a high-quality show. I'm hoping that it gets the renewal, because I think there's still a lot more story to tell. And sorry if my makeup's not, like, on point as it usually is. I'm tired, guys. I'm sorry, but I really wanted to get this up for you guys, because I know you guys enjoy it. So let's start out. Things, again, have been really picking up. So we're going to start out with London and Dracula and Vanessa storyline straight out, and then go through the other London storylines, since everything is really coalescing in London, and everything's going to be over next week. Like, holy crap. I had no idea that they were going to be doing a 2-hour season finale. So instead of getting 2 more weeks of an hour episodes, we're getting 1 2-hour. Well, it's 2 episodes back to back. So really it's 1 week, 2 hours. So that's something, guys. I'm not quite sure. It makes me nervous about renewal, I'll tell you that. So we'll start out with Dracula and Vanessa. So we see Vanessa sleeping in the lounge in the museum, and Renfeld is just being creepy as hell and really creeping towards her. And I have to give the actor credit, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in another scene he has. But that actor has amazing body control, and if it truly is him, and I'm pretty sure it is him, he does an amazing job of really contorting his body and moving his way in a body in a way that seems really unnatural and something other than human. So really, kudos to the actor for being able to pull that off. I think he does a very good job of looking something otherworldly. And he obviously starts sniffing at Vanessa and starts to look at her. And I think it's really interesting that Vanessa doesn't actually wake up during this. And Vanessa is someone who has always been very conscious of the other world and the demi-monde. And when things, get near her that are of the other world, she's always sensed them. She's always sensed other vampires and stuff. So I assume it's probably an influence of Dracula that she's being able to sleep being able to sleep well and not waking up while Renfeld is creeping on her like a creep. Dracula obviously shows up and drags him to his feet and is basically like, "Don't touch my things." And Vanessa wakes up and says she hasn't slept that well in years. And if you notice, he is in the light. So sunlight isn't bothering him. We've seen him already in the light before, but this is, again, more confirmation that he's not affected by some of the things that we commonly associate with Dracula and vampires in general. She also says that he's too good, and that and then he says he hopes that she always thinks that. And just, I feel so bad for Vanessa, because she adores him and thinks he's such a good guy. And we know he isn't. I mean, I like him for that. I mean, as the show has gone on, I've really come to adore Dracula, and God help me, I really do. But it's sad to see her so enamored with the idea of someone normal, and Vanessa should know better. Vanessa's never going to be with anybody normal. So Vanessa ends up going home, and before she steps foot in the door, there's Clare, and she is so happy to see him, and she invites him inside the house to talk. And he talks about how he wants to be accepted, and the thing is, Vanessa's always accepted him, and has always accepted him for who he is, and she says that he should give his family a chance to love him again, and that people are always better than you think. And he asks her if she truly believes that, and she says almost. And it's heartbreaking to see that Vanessa, after everything she's been through, still has that hope. Yeah, it hurts, because I don't think we know what's going to happen at the end of the episode, but it's heartbreaking to see that she still has hope in the goodness of people after everything that she's been through. And it really shows that she does have such goodness and light in her, despite her destiny and despite the trials and tribulations that she's been through. She asks him if he remembers working at the asylum, and he doesn't. So he hasn't reached those memories yet. So we actually don't know how he died. We still don't understand. He doesn't remember how he died. He doesn't remember anything of that. And Vanessa seems disappointed, but she simply tells him that the man that she used to know deserved to be loved, and the man she sees now deserves no less than that. So regardless of who John Clare was and who he is now, it doesn't matter to Vanessa. She sees him as a friend and deems him worthy of her love and deems him worthy of love. And their friendship gives me such life, that Vanessa has somebody like that in her life that truly cares about her. It's like Sir Lyle in a lot of ways. Like, John wants nothing from her, but, John wants nothing from her. He isn't looking to bed her. He isn't looking to use her in any way, and he isn't looking to break her heart. He just wants to be there as a friend for her, and he's asking for friendly advice, and she's providing it. And their friendship is really, really important to me. And, he asks if she's trying to find love and things like that, and she says that it's a strange tune. She's trying to sound up the measures. And I think it's a really interesting point, because she said last season that all happy people like songs and all sad people like poetry. So interestingly enough, now she's talking of songs. So she's trying to be a happy person who enjoys songs. And he says, what if we're rejected? What if we're rejected from the people we love? What do we do? And she says, truthfully, can we be more lonely than we are now? So let's dare and risk things. Let's risk it. And of course, it's going to lead to Vanessa's ruin, but things are going to turn out better for John Clare. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. We see that Dr. Seward is listening to Vanessa's tapes, and Reinfeld is there as well. And Dr. Seward believes that Vanessa has a split personality. So, interestingly enough, I genuinely thought that Dr. Seward believed Vanessa, and I guess she doesn't. It's unclear, but I don't think Dr. Seward believes Vanessa when she talks about the demi-monde and things like that, given she hasn't seen any of it. So why would she? I mean, it's a hard thing to believe in if you've never seen any of it. So she doesn't believe in it. And Reinfeld is just, it's just a small scene, but Reinfeld does the actor does some amazing acting there, just some twitching, and the way he turns when he walks out of the doorway is one of the greatest, just some great body acting. If you go back and watch that scene, what's great is the way he turns. He'll turn his feet first, and then he turns his body. So it's a very, very unnatural, almost robotic move. Something that's almost like a puppet on a string, which is very perfect for Reinfeld, but very unhuman. It's just a great, some great character acting by the actor. Katerina also comes to visit, asks Vanessa to call her cat. She just seems a little anachronistic. She doesn't seem to fit in with the times, but Vanessa herself doesn't fit in with the times either, so it kind of works. She tells Vanessa that all her assumptions on Dracula are wrong, besides the fact that it is about the end of days, that all religions have an end of days myth, so Dracula can cause the end of days. That is accurate, at least. And that the human form of Dracula can be killed, like anything else, by a bullet, by a knife, anything like that. And we learn that Katerina comes from Highland stock. But we don't learn a lot about her, besides that, except that she was a fighter. Something interesting to note here. Katerina, it's an Anglicization of the name Katerina and the Irish name Catriona. And they are basically forms of the English name Catherine, which is derived from the Greek name for pure. So, interesting, right there. There's also a book by Robert Louis Stevenson that was published in 1893 which is when this show is taking place right now, that was a sequel to the book Kidnapped that is named Katerina. And it kind of goes all over the place, but it starts in Scotland, where she's supposed to be from. There's nothing in the plot of Katerina that coincides with this character, Katerina, so there's nothing that you should take away from the Robert Louis Stevenson book. I don't know if they took her name from that book. I think I doubt for some reason, I doubt it's a coincidence that the Robert Louis Stevenson book is published in the same year that this show is taking place, and the lead the title character of the book is named Katerina, and here is this character, Katerina, that is showing up in the show from Scotland, same thing. I don't know, something to think about for you guys. She starts thinking about things. Katerina says that this isn't the work of a soldier, it's the work of a spy, so Vanessa needs to get in close, and that he's supposed to dwell, no matter what the myths say that he's supposed to dwell in the house of the night creatures. And of course, we know that Dr. Sweet works with the nocturnal creatures, that he dwells in the house of the night creatures. So of course Vanessa knows who he is. There's a quote that apparently Dracula said, which is, I have made my bed in where Black Death keeps trophies. Interesting, morbid little thing. I like it. But Vanessa obviously is heartbroken. She knows exactly who Dr. Sweet is. She knows that he's Dracula. She knows that he's seduced her, and she needs to deal with the situation. So Vanessa ends up getting her gun, and she ends up touching the spot on her wall in her bedroom where her cross used to be, which I think was really, really poignant, and a symbolism of what she's lost and what she no longer has that to draw on. She no longer has her faith to draw on anymore. And she has to go into this purely on her own. She has no one at this point, because the one person that she thought she had, she doesn't have anymore. I don't know why she didn't try to call somebody else, but I have a feeling she didn't want to get anybody else involved at this point. She goes to the museum intent on killing Dr. Sweet, and basically, professes just is heartbroken. It's less, there's a lot of anger there, but she says that he lied to her, and that even though he truly claims to love her, but and he says that he claims to love, he truly has come to love her. He didn't expect it. And she's like, you killed all these people that I cared about. You killed my Mina. And he doesn't apologize. To his credit, he doesn't apologize for it. But he says that he doesn't, and, she's like, I'm never going to serve you. And he says, I don't want you to serve me. I want to serve you. And in an awesome, awesome shot, Vanessa spits on him, and he looks furious. Like, how dare you do this? But Vanessa just has had it. And she says, she's just, but you can tell that she's being worn down by this. And Dracula talks about the fact that, he's lived all these years, and she's the one thing that he hasn't been able to attain, and that he's always wanted to possess her, but as he started to possess her, he's come to love her, and he's slowly starting to wear her down. And she's starting to waver, and she spits out with sarcasm, is it a love story? So it's a love story, isn't it? Is it? And he just says, it is. And God, it's perfect. I had to pause because I was just overcome. Like, I know I'm not supposed to be rooting for them, and I know it's not going to work out because obviously, it's bringing the apocalypse. But damn, I don't think I would be able to turn down Dracula with those kind of sweet words. And I mean, he's supposed to be doing that. And after all Vanessa's fought with and everything she's dealt with, here's someone who's basically saying that you don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to be your mask. You can be exactly who you're supposed to be. Because even if Vanessa doesn't feel like she's a night creature, she doesn't feel like she's a light creature anyway. She always feels like she belongs in the shadows. And she's talked about this with Clare. She talked about it in the asylum, that she never was supposed to be a proper woman. And she was never going to be that, even if she wasn't a witch, even if she wasn't the reincarnation of Amunet. She never was going to be a proper woman, or proper woman, proper lady by their standards. And she's just tired of fighting it. And she's weak. Like, everybody has left her. Everybody has abandoned her. And while John has come back, John's dealing with his own situation. And she doesn't have anybody. And here's the one person she still loves, and she can't fight it anymore. And so she gives in. And what I did like, and what I think is going to be very, very important, she says she didn't say she accepted him, she said she accepted herself. And I think that's really important. She finally accepted herself for who she is, but she gives up her neck, and he bites her. So now the apocalypse is starting. So Vanessa is now a vampire, interestingly enough. And I will talk about her scenes with Ketene and the whole situation with Ketene and Ethan and all of them a little bit later, because I have some interesting thoughts on that too. I'll tell you that for sure, but I just wanted to go on her pure storyline. So if we look at I'll go touch on John Clare real quick. John Clare seeked out his wife and actually told her the truth, which I was really surprised about. And, like, wow, like, she actually, like, believed him? Okay, like, okay, like, sure. I don't know if I believe that she would believe it, but she believes him and is so happy to have him back. And it's a beautiful, beautiful little scene. And she says that, that she doesn't really care what he's done. And it doesn't really matter that they can start over. And as long as he's true to himself and as long as he tries, that's all that matters. So we find out the name of the son. His name is Jack. He seems a little freaked out by John. John helps him with the ship and starts working on it, and they end up hugging, and John ends up breaking down as they hug. So it seems that, look, Jack's gonna die. Jack has consumption. The only thing I can think is maybe if, like, John and maybe his wife decide that they're gonna try to turn Jack into, like, a little Frankenstein's monster, turn him into a creature. Like, that's the only thing I can think that's going to save Jack. But it's going to be a bittersweet ending, if that. But it was a beautiful scene, and I'm glad that he got a little bit of happiness and a little bit of acceptance, because that's all he's wanted, is acceptance from people who love him. And I don't know if it's going to last, but I'm very happy that he has it for at least an episode. On to Jekyll, Victor, Lily, Dorian, the whole shebang there. We actually got a cold opening with Lily. Lily overlooked a funeral, and she says that, women are not going to be hungry forever. The children are not going to be hungry forever. And, I don't disagree with what she's saying. I just think her methods are off, and I think that her need for dominance, which comes, I think, a lot from what the creature inside of her is obviously, like, way misplaced. But what we find out, which I think is the big reveal, is that she lays flowers on a grave, and it's her daughter's grave. So we find out that she had a daughter that died was about a year old. So I think a lot of that comes, so she has a lot of anger that's built up, and a lot of resentment that's built up from that as well. Dorian is at dinner with all of the prostitutes. Dorian looks utterly miserable. And Lily gets up on the table and starts telling this story about the history of the punishment of keening, the Irish wailing songs. And truthfully, like, I looked it up online. From what I can tell, the Catholic Church, the ancient Catholic Church, did try to ban keening in Ireland. I couldn't find any, like, truth to the stories of this whole, like, burning of the keening women. It could have happened. I wouldn't be surprised, because they did burn witches and things like that, but I couldn't find any information on it. I did a lot of history scouring, so it may have been something they just made up for the show. But the Catholic Church did try to ban keening as a pagan ritual. So she also tells them that they must be bloody or nothing else, and she asks all of them to bring them right hands of men that they've slept with or that have used them in some fashion. And it's all a bit, like, bonkers. Like, and Dorian definitely thinks that she's crossed the line. Like, he realizes that, like, this is just, nope, not for me. Like, I am, like, out of this situation. When we come back to them, there's a pile of hands on the table. And Justine starts shit with Dorian. Starts picking a fight like she's a little cat. And Dorian, finally Dorian starts showing his claws and grabs her neck and basically says that if you're going to talk like this to me, you better be able to back it up. Because I wrote the book on sin, and I could destroy you. So if you're going to try this stuff, you better be able to back it up, because I'm not going to deal with this anymore. And it scares the crap out of Justine. Like, Justine clearly, like, wasn't prepared for that, and obviously is not going to take it lying down. And it was just nice to see the real Dorian flashing out. We haven't seen him enough this season. Like, he's just kind of been a background character, like, lazing about. And he's been boring. Like, I've been really disappointed. I've liked the concept of him, and I've liked the acting, but I've just felt like they haven't utilized him enough. He's just been kind of there a lot, and they've kind of, like, slowly moved his storyline, like, along here and there, but it's always been a secondary or a tertiary plot line, and it's never been in the forefront. And I still feel like it's kind of not in the forefront. Like, Lily's is more important than Dorian's, but it's nice to see Dorian finally, like, flashing out. Dorian ends up walking with Lily outside, and he says that she's a lion tamer at the circus and she can't control them, and that he's not jealous, he's just bored, and he's lived through so many revolutions. And he mentions Byzantium, and John Logan has mentioned that Dorian in the show is much, much older than Dorian in the book. And Dorian in the book had been turned like hundreds of years, 100 years or so, I think, maybe 50 years, like, not that much. He had aged, but it wasn't like this kind of aging, because the fall of Byzantium, the conquest of Constantinople was a 53-day siege that started in 1453. So that's what he's talking about, and so that makes Dorian at least 440 years old at that point. But he's talking about it like he saw that, like, and was bored at that point. So he's seen things before that. So, like, who knows how old he is. And also I like the fact Constantinople was sacked by the Ottomans, and the Ottomans came up last week with the Ottomans of the Holy Roman Empire and Dracula. So we've got, like, the Ottomans, like, showing up a lot in this. Given they were a large empire, so they show up a lot in history back in the 1400s and 1600s. But it's something to note. I don't know if it means anything, but it showed up again. Dorian's just not into this. And he basically tells her that somebody needs change, and it's going to be you. And he gets Lily into a carriage with Victor and Jekyll. They end up tying her to the procedure chair in Bedlam, and it's they basically tell her that they're going to make her a proper woman, and Lily looks terrified and disgusted, and it's I understand that what Lily is doing is extreme, but the idea that you're going to use some chemicals and suddenly, like, make a woman docile and subdued is just gross. Like, it's such a gross concept. And I know, like, that's what they're supposed to be getting across, but it's so gross, guys. Like, it's such a gross concept. And, like, I don't want Lily to succeed necessarily, but I don't want this to happen to her. Because, like, ugh! Like, it freaks me out as a woman who's been told that I need to be more quiet and less outspoken. Like, and having, like, Victor telling her that she needs to be made more docile and more proper, like, it strikes a chord within me, and it makes me, like, just so grossed out. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. So on to the final part. So we have Ethan and Katsune and Sir Malcolm. And some of this touches on stuff that happened with Vanessa earlier. But most of this is all going on in dream sequences. So Ethan did not show up back in London like we thought he was. It was all dream sequences. So Ethan's talking to Katsune, and he says that he will go with, Katsune says that he'll go with Ethan to go help with Vanessa. And Ethan's just like, dude, the battle's done. Like, there's nothing else to do. Like, I don't need to do anything else. Like, I love how Ethan and Sir Malcolm have, like, conveniently forgotten, like, that there were two brothers. There's Lucifer and Dracula. Like, I like how they forgot everything that happened in first season, and that whatever killed Mina is still, like, floating. Like, whoever was pulling the strings with Mina is still, like, floating out there somewhere. But no, they forgot. He admits that he loves Vanessa, and I really appreciated that, you know, hey, that's great, you love Vanessa. He says, you know, he's not part of the people, and Katsune is like, no, you are my son, you're part of the tribe, you're part of my people, and I still, you know, we are officially leaving America. We still don't know how he became a werewolf. Like, I guess we're never going to find out. Like, I want to know how I became a werewolf, and I thought we went to America to find that out. And I feel like we wasted time in America. Like, all we did was kill his dad and had, like, his crisis moment. But, like, we could have found out about the werewolf, but we didn't. Maybe Katsune is a werewolf. Maybe, like, I don't know. We're going to find out some stuff, I guess. Hopefully? Maybe. But basically, Katsune tells Ethan again that, like, he's the Apache. He's the one who's supposed to, like, save, you know, the world from darkness, like that legend that they made up that he told in the cave with Hecate. Ethan is white. He is not Native American. Even if Katsune adopted him, he is a white guy. He can't be the Apache. The fact that they're, like, putting him as the Apache and, like, the savior of the Apache people, because he's the Apache, which is, in their creation myth, was the first Apache. They're making a white guy the first Native American, which is cultural appropriation and kind of wrong. Like, I expected more from this show. Show white savior stuff with Native Americans. Like, it's been a problem on shows for a really long time, and I thought that this show was going to do better. And it's not. It's a white guy. Unless Ethan genuinely has Native American blood running through him somewhere, like, this is a Native American tale that's being, a Native American legend, savior legend, being foisted on a white guy. And that's not good. Like, that's not good at all. That's wrong. And it's cultural appropriation and not appreciation. Like, there's a difference. Like, Hannibal, when they did the Wendigo stuff, that was appreciation, not appropriation. And there's a difference. And it's bothering me that this show is not doing it well. But basically, Katsune has a vision in London. It's the scene that we've seen multiple times. It's Ethan hugging Vanessa, and he says, I never should have left you, but she tells him it's too late, and the vampires break in the windows. And they are on a ship, and Katsune says that she's in pain. Well, I wonder why she's in pain. Everyone left her. You left her, Ethan. Like, and Ethan's instinct is not to be like, well, I left her, and I left her heartbroken and broke her heart, so of course, like, she's in pain. He's more like, her life has been difficult, and she's been through a lot. And Sir Malcolm says, like, she's been, she's had a hard road to lead, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Like, they have made her life more difficult. So, come on, guys. Oh, the puppy. Like, Ethan, you're a puppy. And you've made some poor decisions. Sir Malcolm, I think, has done much, much better in the past 2 seasons to really be a more supportive person to Vanessa, but he obviously made the mistake of, he had to choose a kid, and he chose Ethan. So, oops. But he's going back to Vanessa now, and I think that's what matters. And they're both all going back to Vanessa, and that matters. So, Ketsune does another vision to go dream sequence to go see Vanessa, and Vanessa's going through her texts, and Ketsune's there, and he, asks what she's worried about, and she mentions the dragon, and she tells them to hurry, and this is, again, before she's fallen. This is prior to her talking to Katarina. And Ketsune, and she says, and all the light will end, and the world will live in darkness. And Ketsune, starts talking to her really, accusatory, and says she's a witch, and then Vanessa claims she's not a witch, which... Vanessa, you're a witch. You're a daywalker. We've established that in season 2. You're a daywalker. The other witches were nightwalkers. You're a witch. You gotta accept it. You gotta own your witchiness. It'll make things better for you in the end. You have a grimoire sitting somewhere in your house, I assume. You didn't get rid of your witch book, so you're a witch. You're a witch. Vanessa, you should have gotten your letter to Hogwarts. But, so, I just feel like Ketsune was, really unnecessarily rude to her. He says that she's the fertile bitch of evil, and he loves her for her fertility and evil? And, what? He loves her for her evil and for her fertility, and that she's a fertile bitch, basically, but then he says that she's made for the day and not for the night? Well, okay, wait a minute. If you love me for my, fertility and for my evil, then how do you think I'm made for the day? Your reasoning doesn't make sense, Ketsune. And also, you don't know, it bothered me because Ketsune doesn't really know her. Obviously, Ketsune is a very complex character, and he... As Sir Malcolm said, I know you were too mean to die, so sometimes he's going to be mean, and this is a situation where he is. I think he's an interesting character. I didn't appreciate, I think he took the wrong tone with Vanessa. As he says that you were made for the day and not for the night, she says he's wrong, and her eyes turn blood red to foreshadow the turning of her into a vampire. So she's halfway there already. And Ketsune says that basically, they need to hurry up. Tells Sir Malcolm that he needs to spend all the money he can to get there as fast as he can. And he says that the dragon's coming for her. And that and tells Ethan basically, you may love her, but she's damned already. She's damned. She's not going to be able to be saved. And Ethan says, well, not while I walk this earth. And I thought that was great. Ethan has always pledged to protect her. He is the wolf of God, but he always, from the very first season, said that as long as he is around, he will save her from all the darkness that exists that has been trying to get her. And so him saying that he'll do that is coming back to season 1. So... hopefully he'll be able to do that. And still keep Dracula around. He also tells Malcolm that the only time that he's known grace in his life really is with Malcolm and Vanessa, because most of the time in his life he hasn't known any grace, and that he isn't quite sure if he should thank Sir Malcolm for killing his father, but Sir Malcolm says, I needed to do it for you. You couldn't, and Ethan's like, I couldn't do it. And Sir Malcolm was like, that's good, because you still have kindness in you. So, they are still on the ship. They're going to land in London, and it is not going to be pretty. And we are going to get a 2-hour season finale, and hopefully a season finale and not a series finale. It is going to be the Wolfman versus Dracula. I'm not quite sure who I want to win. And I've never thought I would say that before. It's not that I don't love Ethan. I love Ethan. I just think Dracula is really, really interesting, and I worry that this show will kill him off. And he is not a character that deserves to be killed off. He is way too interesting for this show to kill him off. I want him to survive. I want him to be around to be an antagonist. I want him to be around to, like, egg at people. But, so everything is in place for a final showdown. We need to deal with the only part that doesn't really fit in are John, Clare, Lily, Victor, Jekyll, and Dorian. I have a feeling that Ethan is going to go try to find John. Because he needs an immortal. If they're going to fight Dracula, they need some more immortals. Lily is a lost cause. Like, there's no way that they're going to get Lily on their side. But there's one person left in London who would risk his own life for Vanessa, and that is John Clare. And if they need an immortal who can kick some serious butt, and that's John Clare. That's Frankenstein's monster. That's the creature. And I would love to see the creature fight trying to save Vanessa. And if we could get, like, another scene, like, maybe, like, John Clare the monster, like, in a white-walled room or something, with Vanessa, like, trying to talk her out of it, like, that would be so awesome. But it would be great. This is the second to last episode of Dreadfully Yours this season. I know a couple of you have asked, I'm going to try to do I'm going to try to do season 1 and season 2. I'm going to do my very best to do those in quick bouts, because I know you guys have enjoyed these. Hopefully, I will be able to do that. Things are going to get crazy. I might have to do it after San Diego Comic-Con. But I just feel like this season has passed so fast, and I feel like it's just been uneven compared to the other season. But hopefully they will save themselves with the season 3 finale, with the 2-hour finale. So make sure your DVR is set correctly. So this is Lindsay with Dreadfully Yours, and I work on When Nerds Attack. So if you want to check it out, again, go down here. So I will see you guys next week.